that's something that we can get to that. And then this is something that to start off with, the first thing you need to do is
just thinking about it's difficult getting them out here.
moving the ladders up into the policy.
Just about this wall, is this a return then going here?
Well, we hope so.
Because it also almost looks like a curve coming round.
Which way? This way?
Yeah.
That's the wrong way.
I think it's gone that way.
Yeah. Well, it's because we have to naturally paddle on this to get that out and that. So really, we'll just retain that as it stands at the moment. Then the idea is once the keeps got down there, that we can assess where we are, whether we've got wall. Well, we have got wall here, but then we need to assess what happens at that point, don't we?
Yeah.
Whether it's don't forget the robber trench that we've seen in the over there, what have you, comes at the site from the inside, and that might be the case here as well. Might be the case here. Yeah. So this is a cut, isn't it? Now, what's really suggested is what's going on there. Yeah. What's going on there?
A couple more there.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, it's all photos, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, possible.
Look there.
Alright, so is that one under there? Just to be able to
Put it on the news, don't they? You can see them.
I like the
So, 30th of May, end of the first day of this weekend, we finally answered some of the questions that we've been after for quite a while. If we look in here, in Trench 9, we've just finished photographing that, so we've got the boards and such like it, so we thought it was convenient to show you this while it's still got its notifications and scales to it. So what we have is, we have what's left of the northern wall. At this side, it's bonded together by mortar, and it's been steadily robbed out, dropping down about 30 centimetres as it heads towards this cut. This cut, as you can probably see, if you look in the section, is quite a clean, level platform. So we've got all that funny clay underneath that we seem to get everywhere else on the site, with a few flints in again. Then we've got mortar trampled into the floor of this, because this is the robber trench, which is where most of the material from this has gone. So where these big blocks went, we don't know. Some maybe in the house wall there, as we've said before. But this was great because we decided we'd take this back a bit further to see what's going on, and you can see that it's pretty much a vertical side here. It doesn't show so well here because what's happened to fill this in afterwards is that the southern wall has collapsed. That material spread across the site, look, you can see in the section there, and then filled up what was the robber trench, naturally covering it over basically. And that's borne out by the fact that if you look here, it runs to nothing. So this wall and the robber trench stop the material flowing across the site. But what's important is this, because this tells us that they're following, that whoever dug this out was following a technique that certainly we've seen on other sites, such as Silchester, for instance, the job that Reading University has been working on for about 20 years or more. What they found, and have found a number of the insula there, is the fact that the Victorian excavators, or more likely the labourers for the Victorian excavators, they set blokes off with picks and mattocks, and they just dug a straight trench until they hit a wall. And as soon as they hit a Roman wall, they move left and right and they pick out that wall.
Guess what?
Battery run out, all right?
Batteries run out. Yep, whenever you're ready, Bob.
Yeah, so it looks like Victorian workers there basically dug a trench until they hit a wall, then turned left and right and followed the wall either way. And that's what we've got here. It's right straight-sided. It means that whoever dug this robber trench did it this way and not from inside the site. So they're just following the edge of the wall. So that might help us when we get down the far end, because it's still all to play for there, has to be said. But certainly here, I think we've got the answer as to how we've lost so much of this building in the earlier days.
You beat me to it. Whenever you're ready then, Bob.
Right, so trench 10, we had a few people working in here last week or so. It's complicated. Such is life, you wouldn't have it any other way, I suppose. What we've got here is what's the remnants of the wall, again, demolition material, this time with charcoal in it. You can see there's some burning in the section there, and it runs through here. So whether they're actually physically pulling the building down here and burning it, like you see on a number of these demolition sites, they used to have big bonfires shifting all the wood oak, so maybe that's what we've got here. But certainly this is still demolition rubble. This is 20 centimetres lower than what we have in trench 9 at the moment. But we think that what we're going to do is remove this tomorrow. This is certainly the edge of the wall here. Remove this tomorrow and hopefully find bonded bits of chalk with mortar here which will tell us that this is the wall, because don't forget what we're looking for in here is the corner of the building, and at the moment we've still not come down onto anything that's fixed enough to give us that. This wall carries on, well, we suspect it carries on. You can see there's a cut line there. Luckily we moistened this area up with some photographs a minute or two ago. You see this, that pale material, then some darker material. This darker material is similar to what we find in the other trench. I think probably what we've got here is the width near enough of the wall, but we're still seeing demolition and robbing at this point. You see it's all fairly soft with bits of stone stuck in it. Now, whether we've got a return here or not, that's the next question. And this is the piece we're going to look at next, because we have this white mortar material, and then it becomes darker with next to no fill in it, or no inclusions or anything in it. So maybe that's what we're seeing below the robber trench over there, which would be useful if it is. Then we have an island, which is a bit of a false island as it stands at the moment, because of course we had this animal here that was discovered last week. We're just in the process of lifting that. That's why it looks a bit scruffy in areas, but it's steadily coming out this evening. Hind quarters of the animal here, and you can see the spine twists here with the rib cage coming up over the top. telling us, I don't know, but we had the local farm around who just discussed burying animals and said the smaller the hole, the quicker you get them in there, and so to see the animal twisted like that is probably not normal practice. Movement here is that we're going to take these out and then we're going to explore the pit that was clearly dug through the rubble. You can see it in the section again for this animal, and then we're going to, by looks of it, come down on some more demolition. There's chalk blocks underneath that, but this isn't anywhere where we're expecting a structure, so that should be just usual rubble.
So the purpose of this was to try and see what was happening with these sarsens here. So we've got them coming up. To try and see if they were continuing on over here. As you can probably notice, we've got a rather large one here, just about see him, and there's one there here. And the cut line that we just about uncovered last week, you could only just see it, starts off here and continues all the way along here. Seems to possibly do something a bit odd here, we're not sure about that yet, and then continues up there. So the plan for this is probably to expand a little bit further this way into here to see what's happening, to see if this does end. We're not sure entirely what this is yet, but we're at an end of the building where it could possibly be a chancel if it is a chapel. So they would usually mark that area off, so it might be that's what these sarsens are doing. That we've got here. So you can see we've got all these lovely stones here and here going along here. And they're sarsen stones, so usually they're associated with somewhere like Avebury or Stonehenge, but what we found yesterday when we went for a little walk is that they're literally everywhere around here. So we've walked just a few seconds up the road, and what we can see here, if we just about make it up, is another sarsen in the road. Now, we know somewhere along here there should be a boundary stone, and sarsens, being the material that they are very strong, were quite often used to mark parish boundaries and things like that. So it's quite possible this is one of them from going back to possibly medieval times. A little tiny bit further, so we can just at the foot of where the climb starts to the castle. And there's a house here, and the interesting thing about this is yet again we've got the sarsen stones appearing here, which are just used for the general construction of the access to the property. They're also used here as well, so this is used for getting onto your horse. But it just proves again that the sarsens don't necessarily have to be somewhere because they're ritually important. It's just because they're useful and they're everywhere around here. So we've now just come up to Bincknoll Farm, and what you'll see if you look down here is we've got actually a floor surface here which is used obviously for the actual farm, which is made up pretty much exclusively of sarsen stones. If we go further along here, you'll see as they continue down and they actually form a curb line all the way along here. Edge of the road surface for people that are using it. If you do want to take a quick look over this way, what you'll see is that we've got public right-of-way access up medieval castle as well. So we're back at our site now, and what we can see looking at this beautiful cottage is that the building itself is made up of these sarsens yet again. You can see the colour of them is really dark red, some are a lot more grey, they vary a lot. Chances are these haven't come very far. You can see they've been shaped into blocks. They might have even come from our site, and there might have been the chapel was made of them. I'd love to tell you if this pond was of some kind of significance to the church, but it is just a garden feature. And yet again you'll see we've got more of these lovely sarsens appearing to make up some beautiful water features here. So we're now still in the back garden of the cottage, and what we've got here is a little wall that's running alongside a little stream. And you'll see again we've got these sarsens appearing within the actual fabric of the wall, and they continue all the way along here. So if I go along here and show you a few more, we've got another one here, we've got one there, and we've got more appearing all the way along here. So these have all been shaped into blocks, just making a wall. So what we could say about this really, looking at it, is do sarsens mean that you've got a prehistoric site? Not necessarily. Do they mean that it's something that means something emotionally? Not really, because it could just be a fish pond or just a little wall for a garden feature.